Good morning. Today's project is to get the garden and the greenhouse ready for upcoming winter. I've been doing a lot of studying on the greenhouse because I've never had one before to figure out how best to winterize that for the cold weather. I want to keep things from at least freezing is the ultimate goal. But first I'm going to work on the little garden that I've got started out here in the open and get it ready. I've done that before down at Fern Hollow, so I'm fairly familiar with that, so it should go quick. Stay tuned. I brought this row cover material with me from Fern Hollow. As you can see, though, stabilizing it to stay as a hoop isn't all that easy, so I'm going to try a new approach this year. Last year I mainly tied it around the frame, but it does blow away, and here we're far more open, so blowing away is going to happen a whole lot more. I bought these twist tie strips the other day that I'm going to try and see if I can use those to anchor it to the frame. The problem with this material, it lets sun in, but it doesn't let rain in. So I need to have it so I can move it up and down to be able to get in and water the plants that are in there. So what I'm doing is using these to anchor to these frames. You make a little cut between the two. And I guess it would help if I brought one with me. You run this through and just twist it. Can make it pretty tight that way too, so that's kind of nice. What I did at the other place, which seemed to help, was then I slashed some holes along the top, and that does let some rain in. Or what I'm hoping is to be able to just slide this one end up and use the bucket, the watering can to water. So now on to the greenhouse, which is a totally different matter. Never had a greenhouse to garden in before. Really excited to see what happens. I'm really hoping to be able to use this for some production this winter as far as things that Tom and I can be eating. I won't be able to grow enough for him to can anything, but at least it should be enough for us to be able to eat off of for some things. I worked yesterday to try to insulate the north wall with some plastic and various things that we had. And my research has indicated that the best way to heat a greenhouse, short of putting a heater in, which I don't want to run electricity out from the house, is to use thermal mass. And that's basically using black, which absorbs the heat, and then at night it will release it. And what everything has said is that water, containers of water that you can keep in the greenhouse that will absorb all the heat from the sun during the day, and then we'll release it at night. So I started with jugs of water that I put some black dye in, and I'm actually going to line those up on the ground right in front of the south facing wall. That'll absorb the heat and will come up over this table where these plants are. Then I've got this black garbage can, which needs cleaned up if you can't see the spider webs and the crap that's on it. But I'm going to fill that up with water and seal it with some Gorilla Tape around the edges, because you don't want the evaporation, you don't want the humidity building up in here either, because that'll rot the plants. So I'm going to seal it up, and hopefully that's going to absorb all of the heat during the day. Right now, according to my hunky-dory thermometer, it's almost 80 degrees in here. And it's well before noon. It's probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock right now. So it does get warm during the day. What I had read is that this thermal mass also acts during the day as a way of keeping the place cooler. I'm not quite sure how that works, but I'll give it a shot. I need to do a little bit more rearranging, because I think the best place for that large container is going to be along this wall, which gives the south, the east, and the west, so it will have the sun all day long. All right, I think I'm ready to fill up the bucket of water. Placement is critical, because I don't want to take up valuable real estate for plants, and I want it to be in a spot that's going to get the best sun all day long. So that way is north. I was wrong. That way is east. That way is north, south, west. So I think right there on the west wall, I can get to those shelves. I can put some more plants on that side that are low. I want to make sure I keep that corner open as much as I can. And then I have plants that can go here and plants that can go on this table. We'll see what happens. Okay, we've started filling the container. I'm using the water from the rain barrel instead of the well. So we'll see how much is in that barrel and if it's going to be enough to fill it. I have another barrel if I need to, but I'm hoping to just use one. Now I'm bringing block that we have over by the garage in here so that I can get these plants up and off the dirt and the ground, so that'll help them stay warmer. Another tip that I had read about for keeping the greenhouse warm is compost. Now a lot of places say dig a trench down the middle and put board over it and compost in there. I'm going to do it a little differently, and I'm going to use that plastic barrel, plastic bucket, and I'll start putting the food scrap in dirt that's in there and see if that heats it up too. It's probably going to be warmer in here than it will be in the house, so who knows, we might want to move in. All right, there you have it. I've left about a foot from the top, mainly because if it does freeze, you want to give it room to expand. I'm hoping that that's not going to freeze in here, but we'll see.